Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you. Hey everyone, Joshua Hanlon here, and today I'm at BrickFair Chantilly with this massive historic battle scene. There's a number of builders involved here, so we'll have a couple start off if you guys want to introduce yourselves and give us an overview of this.
Hi, I'm Nate Lego on Instagram and Flickr.
And I'm Carson, always known as CarsonBricks1 on Flickr and Instagram.
Okay. And tell us what you guys have brought here.
So this is the Battle of Isted. It was the largest battle in the First Schleswig War. It was also the one to really end the war for the Danish victory over the Schleswig-Holstein troops. It had over 50,000 troops involved, and it was the largest Scandinavian conflict or battle really before World War II. So, yeah.
Very interesting. And then what section did you work on here?
So I brought these 6 kind of in the back. It's in a weird shape, but if you start with the forest in the back in that wheat field, and then I built these 3 kind of in a column, and I built these 2 with that house, and then one right in the middle that I built in probably about a day. So that's why there's all these figs covering all this weird layering. There's about, I'd say like 250 on this side alone, maybe closer to 300. And I provided, I'd say, 150, maybe 160 of the figures, and then all the horses. And that design is Xander's or Amaze Bricks on Instagram and Flickr. It's just a slight modification to his pre-existing design that we used on Castillon 2 years ago. But yeah, really what I tried to do was make sure the landscape looked as cohesive as possible with Carson's sections. Definitely wanted to be pretty flat so I could put a lot of figures on it. I also made 2 houses. One of them's kind of bombed out as if an artillery piece had hit it at some point. And the craters, as you can probably see, there's water in them, and as well there's some water in the trench there. And the reason for that is this battle was just covered in rain and musk, and it was a really humid battle, and it rained all throughout the night when the battle first started. So this is supposed to be maybe in the morning or maybe in the afternoon when the battle was at its peak, and that's why there's water still left over in those craters. So.
Okay.
So I built the sections closer to over here. I built these like kind of 4 right here with a little bit of the rye field, the Schleswig-Holstein earthwork, all the river. I built this little outcrop right here, and then this forest plate and that road plate over there. So what this kind of shows is the last-ditch effort by the Schleswig-Holstein troops, where they just made rushed earthworks, and they put Napoleonic Prussian cannons, because in the war they were endorsed by Prussia. But Prussia left the war before this, so they were just on their own. So they just used what they had. I also built a church all the way in the back. It was based on the real church in Isted. I went to go see it this summer, so it was kind of cool. Yeah, but it was really fun building it. I got to try some new techniques with the rubble. The stained glass windows are by Eclipse Graphics. I wanted to try a new piece. But yeah, I really wanted to focus on the gradual, a lot of the colors, because you have dark brown, then you have reddish brown olive, you have the dead earth transitions and whatnot. And then for the river, I did a technique that I saw on Instagram by Pelego, I think. And it's where you just do a 1x1 plate, and then you put 2 tiles on each stud just to make that wave effect, because it was raining during this battle and we wanted to show the movement of the river. I also provided a lot of the Schleswig-Holstein figures. These capes over here are Saxe Coburg Gotha, like a small battalion that was in the war. That's by Brick Fabric. We also have some of the regular Schleswig-Holstein infantry as part of the sponsorship. So yeah, that's what I contributed.
How many minifigs total are on the layout, do you know?
I think it's close to 430, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. I know it's over 400, but this is the most we've contributed so far in the years prior. So yeah, that's what I did.
Nice. So who's up next then in the next section?
So I'm Hunter, so I did these 4 plates right here. So I mainly did the houses, part of the rye field, and the road there. It was pretty fun to do. We had a little bit of a hard time lining things up by the end of it, because that's how landscape builds usually go. But, you know, I'm really pleased with the results of it. So Anything else you want me to add?
What was your approach with the houses? What were you kind of going for there and the elements you used?
Right. So for the houses, how I usually do things is I like to essentially have the layout done first and build around it to make sure everything lines up right. And yeah, that's what I did. The cow pen was kind of last minute because the dairy cows are from Holstein itself. So I was like, oh, we got to add the dairy cows now. So that was a nice little Easter egg reference there. Then for the rye field, I wanted to essentially add it right there. That way everything just lines up. So
Great work. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
And our next builder here.
Hi, I'm Max. I built the 3 plates at the back here, the road closest to the church, the plate with the 2 cannons in the trenches, and then this plate with a bunch of the forestry. In the forestry, we have some troops that were on the Schleswig-Holstein side, the Jaegers. They're very cool. We have them hiding in the forest there. And then on this plate, it's not my plate, but on this one we have some of them retreating as well. On my plate, the main thing I was focused on was, again, trying to keep it quite similar to the other guys' plates and detail levels so we could keep the mock looking as cohesive as possible. The foliage was really fun to do, adding lots of details and different types of shrubs and trees, which Hunter did. He did a great job on some of the trees. And yeah.
How did you do the little kind of the gun emplacements there in terms of kind of sinking those down a bit and still making them look kind of realistic and dug out?
Yeah. So the making them sunken down was quite easy because the 2 studs sunk down fits perfectly with the 1 plate underneath, which is helpful. And then obviously using a combination of the wedges and plates in a formation around it makes it look nice and cohesive and not out of place, hopefully. And some small hills of like mud and stuff to symbolize like how they dug it out and where it was put.
Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we've got our next builder up.
My name is Noah. I go online by H2 Brick, and my contribution to this collaboration are the back plates over here with the trees. I wanted to go for as much dense foliage as I can. That's something that I really do well. And then as well as adding a small farmhouse and some animals there in the back. You can also see figures, some soldiers already just sort of getting some equipment ready, and also a couple soldiers here on the road that are marching in the general direction of where the battle is taking place.
So take us through some of the trees and some of the greenery in this section.
So a lot of trees, or most of the trees rather in fact, that I put together here are using flex tube pieces. And what I do is then take the flex tube pieces, take the leaves, sort of push those down, and then you take smaller leaf elements, smaller vegetation elements, and you put those on. That gives it a very nice texture, very nice dense look to those trees. And it's something that, again, I really like doing because it just makes it more realistic. You're also able to bunch it up a lot more and get a good variety of different plants and whatnot throughout that layout.
Great work. Thank you. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm at McLovin at Bricks on Instagram. I did this green plate right here and some of these craters and then that small house over there.
Okay.
I didn't really do too much. I was a last minute addition. Nate messaged me last week and was like, I need a green plate. So that's about it.
You know, every part matters. What was your approach with your plate and kind of what the different height differentials and kind of how that came together for you?
So since I was such a late addition, Nate had all the photos and everything of everyone else's plates since they're all done. So I just made sure that it would line up as much as possible. And I was basically just running out of green, so I was like, I'll just put in some craters so I can conserve the green parts, and that's about it.
There you go. That works. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hi, I'm Hunter, or Hunter.A.Clark, the other Hunter. I helped with a lot of the, at fair building. I was kind of a last-minute addition, but that, like the grandfather tree and that tree line in the back, that was me. But overall, I didn't really help with many plates. I helped put up the figs and those cool formations you see in the back there. But overall, I was kind of a minuscule part.
What was your approach with the tree design back there?
So I got approached 2 weeks ago saying, hey, I need a big tree, and I've never built something as big as that. I kind of just did a lot of videos on how painters do trees, and Da Vinci talking about how trees are made, and I kind of based it off of that. Used all my leaves.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Hello, this is Gary Brooks. My contribution to this wonderful build was primarily minifigures. The guys took pity on me and said, okay, we'll let you in. So more than happy to contribute to this magnificent build. It's very beautiful. The skill here is incredible when it comes to landscaping, which I really love. Absolutely love the river. This is real talent here to do this. I know I've been doing it in the past, and it's really hard. So when they asked me to do this build, typically I love history, but this is a time period I didn't know much about. So I'm like, hey, I'm contributing to it. I'm going to figure out what's going on with the time period. So I started watching things, and it essentially drove me to create a kind of a prequel, if you will, a prequel mock. So that's primarily where most of my work was, although I did contribute to like the lifeguards there and some other things. But this event, obviously not taking place in isolation in history, was driven by previous events. It was part of the German Wars of Unification, which is primarily led and driven by a guy named Otto von Bismarck. That should be familiar to anyone who knows history. And he essentially rose to power from a series of events that took place from my mock next to it. So this is Revolutions of 1848. It's actually Alexander Platz in Berlin on March 18th, 1848. And I'll be as fast as possible. It is a complex history, but obviously nobody wants to sit here and listen to me ramble on forever. So, but really quick, in 1848, in pretty much in the German Confederation, you still had serfdom, no right to jury trial, no constitution, no representative legislation, and essentially a lot of injustice and bad logistics, all of it. 39 different states, not one Germany. So the people rose up. They were inspired by the successful revolutions in Italy, in France. There were also revolutions in Poland, Austria, Denmark. They all rose up almost at the same time. And it was essentially just students, intellectuals, shopkeepers, peasants. They just all decided to gather around. In Germany in particular, they unified under the German tricolor, which is actually a revolutionary flag. It was not the flag of Germany until essentially after World War II. It is now the German flag, but at that time, it was pretty much just a sign of protest. So this was a fairly, somewhat successful protest here in Berlin. Basically, they rose up, they forced the king to give them some rights verbally, and then, but they didn't trust him, and there are 20,000 troops in the city, so they said, hey, we're gonna protect ourselves. They threw up barricades within a few hours. Some stupid started shooting, and then before you know it, street fighting broke out, and 250 or more people lost their lives. However, they did force the king, King Friedrich Wilhelm IV of Prussia, say that 4 times fast, to give them concessions. He agreed to a constitutional monarchy and right to trial by jury and a number of other things that they were able to win. One of the offshoots from that was the national legislature. And what rose from that was, at first, the aristocracy did not want to unify Germany at all. They didn't want to lose their titles. They didn't want to lose their positions. 39 different, countries gave them lots of opportunity. However, out of this legislature rose a guy named Otto von Bismarck, and he became the chancellor of Prussia. And he eventually came around to realizing they had to unify. But his famous quote was, "Germany will not unify through liberalism. Germany will unify by iron and blood." So hence he pushed to fight wars with the surrounding countries. And not only was he successful in starting them all, including the Schleswig-Holstein Wars, but he also won them. So Austria, Schleswig-Holstein, of course the Franco-Prussian War, and after that they were able to unify. So this event led indirectly to this wonderful build right here. So essentially it's kind of a nice tie-in. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's fascinating history and excellent builds here. So thank you so much for your contribution.
Absolutely. Everybody, Fantastic. You guys.
Incredible work, guys. If you can, talk a little bit more now about kind of your collaboration process here and just kind of how you guys talked and discussed how this would come together.
Yeah, so I made the layout, I think, maybe 6 months ago. It's it was originally a 3x7 layout. Then I added another column, so it's 3x8, which is 24 base plates. Pretty big. I don't think we'll ever do that again, right? But it definitely came together really well. There were very minor things that we had to fix. Matt was gracious enough to complete a plate in like 2 days. I built one in 1 day. Like everyone pitched in and did their part. We built a plate in the hotel a night before the con. Yeah, so it ended up being pretty smooth and coming together really well. So.
Yeah, we also had Hunter build a whole tree back, 2 trees or 3 trees back there, that giant one. But yeah, it was just a team effort. Right after BrickFair, we actually had a completely different idea. It was actually Asian, but we got bored and we were like, hey, why not, continue the Nordic, Scandinavian type of vibe. So, we picked Isted because it was the first war and we did the second war last year. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. All of you did amazing work, so keep it up. Can't wait to see what you do in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.